Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Jaclyn Whittal. You're looking at an image here, actually a moving image, courtesy of NOAA, which is the North American and Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, also the mother company of the National Weather Service in the United States. And that really neat looking orange surge of air that you see moving towards the United States is basically demonstrating a dry layer of air. It's called the Saharan air layer, and I'll talk about why that's important with tropical development, because over the last few days we've been saying, well, we are in the midst of hurricane season, and we talked a little bit about easterly waves. That's how they develop out in the Atlantic off the west coast of Africa, providing that we can have convection occurring. And all that means is relatively warm water rising into cooler air, condensing into clouds, and then eventually, finding enough of a circulation that it maybe forms a tropical storm. However, if we have that same parcel of air bumping into a warm and dry layer of air, it's not going to condense. It's not going to form clouds. So we're not going to get the same kind of storm development. That's exactly what's happening right now. If I go to this next graphic, you'll see that's what it says here. Dry air above the cooler water acts like a cap and equals no clouds. And if you don't believe me, just take a look at this. This is on the NOAA website. And you can see this really demonstrates, it looks to me, it looks like maybe that looks like a hurricane. That's not a hurricane at all. That's not radar imagery or IR satellite imagery. This is a look at a surge of dry air. So you can actually see the clouds here and there, but this is actually demonstrating dry air. So we have an area called the ITCZ, the Intertropical Convergence Zone. That's where our hurricanes develop. That's where our tropical storms develop. Not going to happen right now. Most people will just enjoy some beautiful sunrises and sunset. There's a great article on the website that I definitely want you to check out. And of course, we'll be talking about this at the Weather Network too. There was a tweet that I read earlier by Sean Milrad saying BC looking like a rather toasty time this weekend, and then he hashtags Ridge-tastic. Good evening, I'm meteorologist Jaclyn Whittal. What he means by Ridge-tastic is exactly what this map depicts. We have a big ridge moving into the west coast, and that's going to bring a big surge of warm air to the extreme northern parts of the country. We could even see temperatures reaching the 30s well up to the north. Not really something that we would think is common. We think it's snow and ice year-round up there. How about the eastern parts of the country? Well, if you look at that trend there on that map, you can see cold air surging into the Great Lakes. Now, relatively cold. We're not talking about, zero, but we are talking about in the east, temperatures in around the 10 degrees Celsius mark. And then into Ontario, we're looking at temperatures in the low 20s, so still slightly below seasonal. But the 10 degrees, that'll take us up to the area of Greenland. That's exactly where our own storm hunters, George Krunis and Mark Robinson, are going to be traveling, visiting areas like Iqaluit. You can see there they first hit Ottawa, then up to Iqaluit and beyond. Their Arctic adventure continues, and I'll mention a few other locations they're going to be visiting, but maybe they'll be seeing things like this. This is what I think the Arctic would look like this time of year, and you see that piece of that glacier just falling off. That would be terrifying. Hopefully I don't see anything like that. But maybe it's not like that. Maybe there's more green grass than you and I would think up there. But we'll be learning more as we track their adventure back here at the Weather Network, both on TV and the website. George Krunis says some of the other places that they're going to be visiting, Baffin Island, Greenland, and the Northwest Passage. He says the cameras are ready and they begin actually today. We had a chance to speak to Mark about it yesterday, and he seems pretty geared up and excited for the trip. So again, you can track it on TV or at our website at theweathernetwork.com.